used for used for handshaking the with the server and client and so on and so forth. Okay, so usually internet basically works on the basis of World Wide Web, that is www, and this World Wide Web works on the basis of client server architecture. So whenever there are certain kind of users to be accessing a particular website, that website is basically present on the web server. Okay, so there is a server and there are certain clients. So always whenever we talk about internet, there is a client server architecture. So all of you should remember that. Now, while dealing with this exchange of the information, so their protocol plays a very important role to establish the connection, to start the exchanging of the data, and so on and so forth. Okay, and very well known protocol that is used or that is underlying is the HTTP protocol. So this HTTP basically stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, and this HTTP is very simple to understand, and it is very basically an extensible protocol which is used for adding some extra features during the particular usage of the internet. Okay, now the protocol, what exactly the protocol mean, has been given in the right hand side of the this slide. So you can see there are some other technologies which are existing on the internet. Okay, so here you can see HTML, CSS, web APIs, JavaScript. All these are the technologies used for creating the web pages. Okay, and whenever we talk about www, that is nothing but what? That is basically a world wide web, and this web contains various websites, and a website contains the collection of different web pages. So okay, so whenever you want to develop a website or web pages, so you should have these technologies in place. One is the HTML, CSS, then web APIs and JavaScript. So all these are the technologies. I mean, some of the examples of the technologies which are used to create those web pages. Okay, underlying to this the web. There are certain other protocols such as DNS, UDP, TCP, TLS, and IP. All these are the names of the different protocols. These protocols are used to handle.
Sir, we lost the audio. Can you please check it? Sir, we lost the audio.
Port number, and there is a path given, and there is a certain query. Am I audible?
You are audible, sir. Sometime back we lost the audio, but now you are audible. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So there is basically HTTP works on the basis of request and response. So just imagine that you are putting a request in the Google, and you are searching for a particular word. Okay, so that is called as a request. And once you place that request is converted into a particular understandable format. And in response to that request, some links are actually displayed on your browser. Okay, so that is called as a response for that request. So HTTP basically works on the basis of request and responses. Okay, and usually whenever we click on a particular website, so it contains all these details. Okay, protocol name, the host name, then port number, and so on. So every particular service has a fixed port number. Okay, whenever we are accessing any web service, it has a port number, so it is linked with the port number. And what is a query? Query is basically your username and password. If you are entering, that becomes a query. So username basically a name given to you for accessing that website, maybe your email address or so on. And the password is basically the required password for that particular email address. So if both the things are correct, then only you are able to log into the particular system. That's how basically that query works. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now, understanding HTTP protocol, how exactly it works, you can see in this diagram. First of all, this path has been given. in the browser. Browser basically sends this request to a particular server. Server will map appropriate pages, and that appropriate pages will be replied back by the server and to the particular client. So there is a client server architecture, and this client basically displaying the various web pages whatever you are interested in. Okay, that's how this HTTP basically works. This is an example of HTTP protocol. Now talking about this HTTP, sometimes you might also seen that HTTPS. Okay, what this HTTPS mean? HTTP with security, you can say additions to the particular HTTP protocol. Okay, so what is the security additions? Is basically secure version of this HTTP, and it contains some sort of security related transformations carried out by the protocol, and after that, that will be a secure connection. It is used for establishing the secure connection with the server and the client, between the server and the client. So if we use this HTTPS, then definitely it is going to be a secure one as compared to the HTTP, and whosoever is sitting in between the browser and the server, any intruder cannot be able to impersonate into the particular connection. So that's why basically this HTTP is majorly used in the financial transactions or bank websites or any other financial related transactions if you are doing on the internet. So usually the protocol name is HTTPS. Okay, so the this graph represents the usage of HTTP and HTTPS. So you can see over the last few years the use of HTTPS has been increased, but still it has not been reached to the usage of HTTP. Okay, so we should get equal bars here. Okay, equal bars or identical bars for HTTP and HTTPS. Then only you will be able to, or you can say it should be reversed to the HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, because security related, if you are using the secure websites, then only your data, personal data, and so on is private, or the data privacy and user privacy will be maintained. Otherwise, you are actually sharing the data or the information with HTTP websites. Then it becomes very difficult to and it will be very vulnerable to the various attacks, cyber attacks. Okay, so you have to be very careful while carrying out the usage to the internet and the you can say the financial transactions that you are doing on the internet. So internet communication, how exactly it happens? Okay, this diagram shows a client-side browser. Browser is, so basically browser is what? Browser is an application program which is used for taking the request from the user and sending the request to the server. Okay, so browser plays a very important role, and that is the initial point of you can say initial point of the communication. Okay, so whenever a company website that visitor is visiting, that request will be converted into HTTP request, and it is sent to the web server. Web server will be having some web application servers. Application in the sense various applications that we can have. Okay, so different sorts of application like emailing service, or Google Drive service, or Google Docs service, or you can say Google Meet service. There are so many other applications which are available in all. So every application will be run on a particular application server. So based upon the number of services available, the number of application server will be more. And finally, it is using a database server which contains the storage of the information of users or the customers of that particular organization, and they are basically maintaining that you can say the data of the user, how exactly he is surfing, what sort of data, or he is accessing the information, and so on. So it is basically keeping a track on all the data traffic. Finally, in response to the HTTP request, the reply will be given either in the form of web pages, or in the form of CSS data, or in the form of some images, or some small programs, okay, or some animations, and so on. So based upon your request, appropriate content will be sent back to the particular visitor's machine. Okay, so how a web application basically works? This is a normal flow of web application. So usually nowadays many people are actually buying and selling the goods on the internet. So this particular application is a generic application. So I am just giving you an example of online kind of purchasing, online kind of shopping, and so on. So if you see this diagram, you can see the user basically submits a shopping cart. Okay, shopping cart is nothing but what? It is a virtual kind of cart which is basically contains shortlisted items, and those items of the user's interest. Okay, and that those items will be submitted through a router. Okay, all these router, firewall, switch, and wireless access points, these are the networking components of the particular network or the communication. So this router will be connected to a firewall. Firewall will be understanding the genuineness of this particular user and the card. Then it will be sent to the switch. Switch is basically used for interconnection of different you could say the connections. Okay, one connection is going here, one connection is going to the wireless access point, one connection is going to the firewall. So switch is used for connecting to multiple number of connections. Okay, so this switch will basically transfer this to web server. Web server will be uh, understanding the particular web application, the shopping website, and appropriately that request will be transferred to the shopping website, and it contains again a database. Database is used for what? Storing all sorts of the information about the user and user's credentials and so on. So finally, based upon the card, the particular shopping will be done. Okay, and the user will be placing an order. Okay, and this purchase order will be placed, and it will be stored in the database. It is captured, and accordingly, the goods will be delivered to the user physically. Okay, so this is a normal flow of web application. If we expect that it should normally work as we have seen, but in certain scenarios there are certain attackers who are sitting in between the user and the particular application servers or the shopping websites. In that case, basically the hacker will use some SQL injection attacks, and they are basically impersonating the particular users accounts, and they are carrying out the purchasing on behalf of the different users. Okay, so in those kind of scenarios, like they are actually intercepting the users and on once they get access to the application server by using some guest passwords or guest kind of user accounts. So they will carry out the shopping on behalf of different users. So this is very vulnerable kind of thing, and which is basically we on daily basis we heard about these news. Okay, so wherein some sort of fraud has been happened in the while doing the online shopping and so on. So you have to be very careful while dealing with your accounts and so on. So always you keep a track on your transaction history and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's all about how exactly attacker can attack on this. Okay, so it is represented with the help of this red line. So everything has been hacked. So that the due to this, guessing of the password and username accounts and so on. Okay, so this is called as a how a particular attacker can attack on a particular system. Now, so we are just talk about the internet fundamentals, how exactly internet works, and whether how we can put up a request, and how we can get a response from a server and so on. So if you have any doubts, you can put up in the chat box on this. Am I audible to all of you?
Sir?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead, and we will take up some questions by end of the session.
At the
So,
end. Okay, fine.
sir, ma'am,
Yeah, yeah.
if you have any questions, kindly keep it in the chat area, as sir was mentioned. So we will take it up some questions, okay, by end of the each session. Thank you. Please go
Sure,
ahead, sir.
sure. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so let us go ahead now. I am now talking about the information and data, and then I'll be talking about the cybersecurity threats and so on. Okay, so how exactly you all should be aware about the cybersecurity threats. Okay, so you can see that there is a data. Data is nothing but it's just a raw facts. These are really raw facts, like some numbers. Like let us consider, for example, 2.3, 5.4, 5.6, okay, and 72.5 and so on. So these are raw numbers, right? So these are called as raw facts. If we attach a meaning to it, like 7.2 or sorry 6.5 inches, which will be a height, 7.2 inches will be a length, and so on. So whenever we call it as in the form of inches or in the form of kg or so on, then the meaning is getting associated with the raw facts or the numbers. So in that case it becomes a information. So data after processing becomes information. All should know the difference between data and what is information. Okay, so information is a meaningful data. Okay, so let us go ahead. So information security. So whenever we talk about information security, basically it is a organizational problem, okay, rather than IT problem. Okay, why it is why this sentence has been written like that? Because so whenever we talk about the information security of a particular organization, then in that case the people who are actually working with that organization, okay, plays a very important or vital role in their day-to-day life. Okay, because whenever you want to secure a particular organization, in that case the IT configuration, so whatever IT we configure, that will going to be work as it is for 50 years or 100 years or 1,000 years ahead. It is not going to change. But if the people who are actually not aware about the threats and vulnerabilities and so on and so forth, then it becomes very difficult for the organization to maintain that security of that organization. Okay, so basically the IT is not a problem, but the organizational problem is like a number of users who are actually aware about the information security or not, and so on. So that's why government of India has started spreading this awareness of information and cyber security across the particular across India. So many more such trainings are happening due to that particular purpose. Okay, once you all are aware about, then definitely the information, I mean security, whatever we are talking about for a particular organization will be not a problem. Okay, so more than 70% threats are internal. Okay, so all this data has been presented based upon the previous or the past experiences which we all have, and basically this information has been collected from various organizations. Okay, so 70% threats are internal. That means the people who are not aware about, they basically commit some mistakes, and definitely they are going into a very serious financial problems and so on. The more than 60% culprits are first time fraudsters. So like they are not knowing aware about the particular attacks or cyber attacks or cyber security attacks. So that's why they basically fail into such kind of attacks, and the particular they will compromise their usernames or some personal credentials such as credit card, debit card details, and so on, and they basically fall into very problematic situation. Okay, and the attackers who are actually carrying out such kind of attacks, like stealing some credentials from the user, and then they try to encash it. Like let us say on internet somebody's debit card picture is found, and that debit card number is available, so he will enter the debit card and try to guess the pin number by using multiple different techniques, and that is just for a purpose of curiosity or so on. So that's why 60% culprits are first time fraudsters. So the biggest risk is people, and biggest asset is also people. For a particular organization, risk is people, and asset is also people. So only thing which we can do is awareness. Okay, so the awareness amongst all the user is very important. Okay, and finally the social engineering is a major aspect or major threat which is basically contributing to the information security domain. Okay, for a particular organization. So all of you should be very aware about, do not share your credentials with your neighbors, do not share with your friends, do not share your credit card details with your relatives, and so on. All these are the social engineering aspects which are basically playing a very important role, and people are not serious about those kind of aspects. So we talked about information and information security. So major information security objectives are confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. Okay, and availability of the particular system. So whenever for an organization, that organization has to run a particular business. So for that, they have to basically uh, comply the various security aspects such as confidentiality. Confidentiality is sending the information confidential to the sender and receiver only, and integrity is basically the information has to be reached to the destination or the receiver as it has been sent by the server, or the you can say the sender. And finally, the availability. Availability is basically what? Availability is the service which we are seeking for. It has to be available all the time. Okay, 24/7. It has to be available. Let us take an example of railway reservation system. Okay, so that IRCTC service has to be available for us, and that service is always available. Okay, then it is a normal, you can say, use. But let us consider, if there are so many requests coming up to the IRCTC server simultaneously, thousands or millions of requests are coming up, then in that case the IRCTC will get failed due to the large number of requests. And finally, the if someone else additionally try to connect with the IRCTC service, then he or she may not get the particular access to the IRCTC. So that in that case, it becomes unavailable for the particular user. So it should be available always. So that availability is a very important service which has to be addressed by the particular organization. Okay. So why we should ensure the information security? Because we have to ensure that availability of the business first thing. We have to take care of the all risk of loss of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Then of the information assets that that particular organization has. See, all of you should remember that nowadays, the currency is not the main the asset. Okay, currency or the money is not a major fact, but or major asset. The the major asset nowadays is the information. Okay, the information that a particular user has, or the information the particular organization has. So information is basically a major asset, and which is invaluable asset. Okay. So to protect the data and information systems, so information security is very important. Brand and reputation loss. Okay, you can imagine if some banking website has been compromised by some users, then definitely the number of customers will decrease for that banks, because if the network is, I mean, the website is not proper, or some problem is there with the website, then definitely they may lost their reputation. Okay, and so the number of customer base will be go on decreasing in that case. Okay, so then increase productivity, and through some best practices, the information security is important. Then enable the business continuity and disaster recovery and so on. So basically, uh, so if something happens wrong, like natural calamities such as earthquakes or some fire or flood and so on, so the information should not get lost. Okay, so the information has to be properly captured, and it has to be stored safe. Okay, nowadays the cloud services are used for storing the information safe. So even if a particular site goes down, another site will take over, and the service will be always available. So that is also comes under this particular information security. So maintaining all those aspects, information security is very important. Okay, so nowadays we have just seen two three words which are very similar, but they have different meanings. Okay, such as whenever we call it as a threat, it is basically a particular potential that can cause harm to the system. What is a vulnerability? Vulnerability is basically a weakness that is present in the system design itself, and people will explore that vulnerability and carry out the attacks. And risk, what is a risk? Risk is basically some sort of likelihood. Likelihood is basically a probability. Okay, and the consequence. So the probability is more, and the consequence will be there, and more is the risk. Okay, so the threat, vulnerability, and risk are the looks very similar terms, but they have different meanings. Okay, so these three words are interchangeably used in the domain of information security. Okay, we'll talk about the threats. Software attacks, or the theft of intellectual property, identity theft, theft of equipment or information, sabotage, and information extortion. So all these are the threats. threat is basically not having a lot of potential. I mean, you can say lot of possibility of having such threats, because the probability is very less as compared to the other kind of active attacks. Okay, the threat is basically always the threat is there. For example, if we are coming out of our home, or if we are going out of our home, we basically lock our home and then go to our office or so on. So basically, but the threat will be always there. So someone can go and break that lock and go inside the home and carry out some theft and so on. So that is also possible. So basically, the threat is nothing but what? It is the possibility of having the attack on the existing system. Okay, so we will see the different you can say threats. First one is the normal flow, which we can see in the diagram. Then there is a interruption. Interruption is basically a cutting of wire or not getting connected to the particular internet and so on. Then there is an attack called as modification, which is again a threat. Okay, someone is basically sitting in between our sender and receiver, and he's trying to get the information, modify it, and then send it further. Okay, so that is called as a modification kind of attack. Then interception, basically just listening to the particular uh, traffic or the particular packets which are going through the network. Okay, that is called as the interception. Then fabrication is something called as impersonation. So wherein on behalf of someone sending the information to other, okay, that will be fabrication. Then last one is repudiation. Okay, so that is there are two types of repudiations. One is sender non-repudiation and receiver non-repudiation. So wherein the sender is basically denying to send some information. Let us say some unwanted content has been sent to a user, and that user is denying to send it. Okay, so in that case we should have a you can say evidence, and we should be able to prove that particular user has only sent that information to the particular user and so on. So that all things should be carried out. At the same time, some receiver cannot deny to receive some information. Okay, a notice is issued to all the employees, but some employees are saying that I have not received an email and so on. So we should have a proper proof that the information has been already received that particular person. Okay, so that is called as repudiation. So someone should not deny to send it, someone should not deny to receive it. Okay, so these are called as sender and receiver non-repudiations. Okay, so the names of these kind of services which we use. Okay, first one is the interruption. Interruption is basically talking about the availability. The particular modification is talking about the integrity. So these are the basically mechanisms which are used or which are supposed to be provided for a secure system. Okay, then there is an interception, that is a confidentiality. If you encrypt an information before sending, and then it is decrypted at the receiver side, then that decryption is providing you confidentiality. Okay, and similarly for integrity, basically what we are doing for integrity, we are actually calculating some checksums. Okay, checksums hash value at the sender side, and we are also calculating the hash value at the receiver side, and we are actually matching the both the hash values together. So if the hash value matching, then it means that the particular message has been received as it is, it has been sent. Okay, so that assurance is there. So that is called as the integrity. Then authenticity is basically carried out with the help of some sort of two-factor authentication or single-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication and so on. So which is nothing but talking about the authenticity. Like we can ask the user to enter what OTPs and so on, so that we are actually authenticating a particular transaction. So if he enters a proper, or you can say the actual OTP, then only we carry out that transaction. Otherwise, we will just discard that transaction and so on. Okay, the repudiation service, whatever we have talked about, is basically helped with the help of non-repudiation service, and these are the various whatever the names are there. So these names are called as security issues which are there in the network, and we have to address all those issues in our software. Okay, so the security mechanisms which we have talked about is confidentiality will be achieved with the help of encryption. Integrity is achieved with the help of hashing. Authentication and non-repudiation will be achieved with the help of digital certificates and digital signatures, respectively. And cryptography basically plays a very important role in this particular security aspect. Okay, so the basics of cryptography we will just talk about, and then we can stop over there. So you can I talked about the cryptography. Cryptography basically is nothing but it is an art of secret writing, like converting normal text, okay, English text into a encrypted text, which is a symbolic language or something like that. So that is called as a ciphertext. So plain text and ciphertext, converting plain text to ciphertext is a cryptography, and cryptanalysis is basically a code breaking. So you can say just know the ciphertext which we have, a symbolic text which we have, and from that symbolic text we have to recover the plain text out of it. That is called as cryptanalysis. And cryptography and cryptanalysis together, if you combine, that comes under the area of cryptology. Okay, and that is talking about both the aspects, cryptography as well as cryptanalysis. So whenever we talk about cryptographic techniques, there are majorly three types of cryptographic techniques which are there in the cryptography. One is secret key cryptography or symmetric key cryptography, public key cryptography or asymmetric key cryptography, and finally the third one is the hash functions. Okay, and each and every one has its different usage and the importance. Okay, we talk about the secret key algorithms. So secret key is basically the same key is used for encryption as well as for decryption. So whenever a sender is sending the information, so he has to encrypt that information by using some key. Okay, and that key is shared between the receiver and sender, and the receiver will basically use that key and encrypt it. I mean decrypt it with the help of that key, and he will read the output. Okay, and the service which we achieve with the help of this symmetric key cryptography is confidentiality. Okay, so there is a plain text, encryption with secret key, then decryption with the secret key, and the plain text will be as the output at the receiver side. So there is a sender and there is a the receiver. This is how basically secret algorithm works. Public key cryptography, there are there are two keys which are associated with every user or the every particular communicating party in the communication. So every user has a pair of keys. One key is called as public key and another key is called as a private key. Private key is always private to himself or herself, and public key is he can share with the others like our friends and so on. So whenever I want to encrypt by using this public key cryptography, I have to first of all select the public key of the receiver. Okay, public key of the receiver, and encrypt the information and send it to the particular receiver. Now the receiver will be able to only decrypt by using the private key of himself or herself, and that private key is very much private to him or her. Okay, he will not share that private key to anyone else. Okay, the public key ring. So just I will resemble this example with our real life example. So if we consider the email address and password, okay, so email address is basically work as a public key, and the password of that email address is may work as a private key. Okay, so whenever I want to receive some emails, I will distribute my my public key or the email address to all the users. Okay, anyone I can share that email address, and if someone want to send me the mail, he will use that email address and send me the mail, and I am the only person who is responsible to open my inbox and read the email. Okay, so that is how it is. The public key cryptography works. Okay, so public key ring is there, so that means I have a lot of email IDs with me. Out of all those email IDs, I will select one and send that information, okay, by encrypting. So then finally the decryption will be done by the private key of that particular respective public key. Okay, so this is achieved with the help of the security service which is we are achieving is called as confidentiality here. Okay, so in the same example, that is public key cryptography, but for different purpose. Okay, so here we are achieving the purpose called as authentication rather than the confidentiality. Okay, how exactly it is done? So here instead of using a public key, I am encrypting by using my own private key. Okay, so I am using my private key to encrypt the information and sending it to the receiver. Now the receiver has the ring. Okay, so here receiver is having the ring. So in the previous one, the sender is having the ring of all the number of public keys, but now here receiver is having the ring. Receiver will pick up appropriate public key and he will decrypt. So any one key is used for encryption or decryption. So whenever I am using public key for encryption, public key of public key for the encryption, then it becomes confidentiality. Whenever I use a private key for encryption, it becomes a authentication. Okay, basically private key is only known to the sender. That's why there is evidence that the sender, appropriate sender, is only sending this information. That's why it is called as a authentication. Okay, so then it will be received at the receiver side. It will be decrypted by using the appropriate public key. Now, if we want to achieve both the things, okay, we can also do that. Okay, the confidentiality and authentication combiningly we can also achieve. But only thing is we have to keep a track on how we can staging the particular encryption and decryption. So, public key algorithms is also used for encryption of the particular keys which has to be distributed. Okay, so just imagine that there is a symmetric key encryption algorithm, and the entire security of that symmetric key algorithm will depend upon the symmetric key algorithm or the secret key algorithm. Entirely it depends upon the secret key that is used, okay, for the encryption as well as for the decryption. So whenever we have to distribute secret keys, these secret keys are exchanged with the help of the public keys. Okay. So whatever the session key or the secret key I want to use for the communication, so that is encrypted by using the public key of the receiver, and then it is called as an encrypted key rather than the encrypted text. Okay, so we are not sending the encrypted message here, we are sending the encrypted key here, and this key is basically now decrypted at the receiver side. That's why both the sender and receiver is now having a securely distributed key with them. Okay, and they can use these keys for the further encryption decryption process. Okay, then the final or the third aspect of cryptography is hash functions. The hash functions are basically a public functions which are basically used to calculate the hash value of a given message. Okay, so let us say we want to send an entire message, okay, or email. Just imagine a page of information or page of message I want to send. Okay, so in that case, I will calculate the hash value of that entire page of message, and so that hash value is basically a fixed length. Okay, fixed length kind of block or the text which we are getting out of the entire variable length message. Okay, so that variable length message into a mapping that variable length message into a fixed length or a fixed size block is basically called as a hashing technique. Okay, and this hash value becomes a authenticator. It becomes a authenticator, and this hash value is basically sent along with the message, and at the receiver side this hash value is again calculated by the receiver, and the receiver will basically comparing the both the hash values, the hash value received and hash value calculated. So that's how basically hash value basically achieves or basically gives you the idea about whether the sent information is as it is or not. Okay, so the pros and cons of these hash functions is basically the one-way transformation. If we know the hash value is hash value of the particular message, we cannot generate the message out of the hash value. We are only able to generate the particular you can say hash value. So that's why it is called as a one-way function, one-way transformation. Okay, basically this hash functions offers integrity without the cost of encryption. Okay, and message can be read when the authentication is necessary, and so on. So the difficulty of this is, I mean, the disadvantage of this is there is no confidentiality. because we are sending the message along with the hash value. Okay, the message confidentiality is not important over here. Here what is important is the checksum, or the you can say the message alteration, whether is carried out or not. That checking is very important whenever we are talking about the hashing. Okay, you might all know that whenever there is a cyber investigations which are happening, so immediately the investigating agency will seal the laptops or digital devices, mobiles, or hard disk of the desktop machines and so on. So as soon as they will just seal all those devices, they first of all calculate the hash value of the information that is present on the particular thing. Okay. Okay, so the investigating agency is basically calculate the hash value, because further anyone should not tamper the particular information present on the hard disk. Okay, he should not change the information. So so that's how they seal, and they basically hash value is also sent to the particular department, and then the further analysis of the information is carried out. So hashing is basically playing a very important role in the cybercrime investigations. Okay. uh, yeah. Then what we can just know, we should know that the unexpected success which is happened. Okay, like evolution of the technology usage and the value. Okay, so you can see in 1990s the very basic connectivity was present. Okay, and in 2000s you can see application specific online content is created. Okay, that is called as 2.0 web. Then in 2010s, if you see applications, then data which is on the cloud has came into picture. And in 2020s, okay, you can see the IoT devices and the interconnection of IoT devices and so on, so on, and so on, so forth. So, so evolution of technology usage and value is basically getting increased day by day, and evolution of security problems and solutions also increasing. Okay, so finally, the message is evolution never stops. Only thing is we have to be with the time, and we have to keep a track on various aspects around us. Okay, and we have to keep a track on the security of our uh, personal security, as well as our family security, and the organization security. Okay, so we should not we should be always aware about what sort of attacks can be possible and so on, so that we should be take appropriate measures, and then we can basically use. So technology usage we cannot avoid, we have to use it. There is no other alternative. We should go with the technology. The only thing is we have to be aware what exactly I'm doing. I have to be confident about, and then I should not share the information with anyone else. Okay, and while sharing the information, I have to be very careful about to whom I am sharing this, and really it is worth or not, and then only we can share the information with others. Okay, so that is all about this internet fundamentals and the cyber security threats. Okay, so if you have any doubts and so on, so I'll be happy to address those kind of doubts. Please put up your doubts in the chat box.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful and enlightening session. And it was an excellently done, sir. So the first question is, sir, like what is the what is in HTTP which make it secure?
So basically, there is a called as HTTPS. Okay, that S stands for secure transformations, or secure secure aspects which has been provided with HTTP. So there is a term called as SSL. Basically, I have not covered that SSL here in the talk because it will be a very high level kind of technology, which is secure socket layer, which contains some steps towards securing the our traffic. Okay, the I'm talking about the internet traffic. Okay, so whatever the transformations has to be done, that has to be done before sending the information, and that has to be checked at after receiving the at the receiver side. Okay, so SSL enables connections are usually called as HTTPS. Okay, so whenever SSL enabled connections are there, so definitely there are different kinds of encryptions has been supported by SSL versions. Okay, and based upon specific SSL version, appropriate encryption decryption algorithms are selected, and the security transformations has been carried out on the sending information and receiving information. Okay, so that is called as secure kind of HTTP.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And the next question is, when it becomes possible for a hacker to get information, why is it not possible to know about the hacker and catch him?
Can you repeat, sir? Can you repeat your question? Yeah.
Yeah. When it becomes possible for the hacker to get information, okay, why is it not possible to know about the hacker and catch him? See, for example, when we hackers are, hacking our information in the similar way, like why can't we catch hold of the hackers?
Okay. Yeah, I got it. So basically, what is there? Uh, so anything what we can do with the information that is before sending it. Okay, so once the information leaves our machine, we don't have any kind of control on that particular information. So before sending, we can either send it, or we can stop sending the information. Okay, but once we send the information, so after all, once that information leaves our machine, not necessarily laptop or desktop or mobile, okay, whichever is the device. So once that information has been left from our machine, so we cannot have any control on that. So hacker can very well they are just keeping a track on the internet traffic, and they will capture those kind of data or those kind of packets. But whether that has been captured or not, that is basically not available. Okay, so with us, we don't have any kind of track, or we will not know about, because where or at what place or at what point of time of the transmission has been hacked. We don't know. We don't have any kind of idea about where it has been captured. Okay, so anywhere between the server and the sender. Okay, or the, you can say, the client and the server. So the hacker is sitting in between anywhere, okay, geographically closer or geographically very far from us, and so on. So basically, we don't have any kind of track to identify whether my information is getting hacked or not. So we'll come to know about this thing only when we see some evidences, such as nowadays, like Facebook accounts are getting hacked, right? So we get some request, unnecessary request, even if my friend is in my friend list, but I'm getting a request from the same friend. So so that is kind of a detection of my account has been hacked by someone else. Okay, so so basically, we should understand that once the information is left from our machine, we don't have any kind of control on that thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And what is IoT?
Yeah, IoT is Internet of Things. Basically, whenever we call it as Internet of Things, so earlier it was just internet was used through by our laptops, desktops, or mobile phones and so on. But nowadays we can connect the IoT devices. IoT devices, whenever we are calling about the devices which are having some element or some sensors. Okay, in or the equipments in which we can mount some sensors, and those sensors can be very well connected to the internet, and they will capture the data of that equipment and send that information to the over the internet, and we can capture that information, or we can store that information somewhere, and based upon our need, we can analyze that data, that information, and we can take some decisions. Okay, for example, I'm keeping my TV on, and I want to close, I mean, just shut down that particular TV or whatever, or any equipment, washing machine or fridge or so on. So I can very well do it from my mobile phone. Okay, so whatever is the sensor, I am putting it into my house. Okay, so that particular sensor has to be there with that particular machine, so very well I can control the things. Okay, so so that's why no more it is now the internet is used for by the computing devices. It is basically used by anything, right? So that is eligible for getting connected to the internet. So that's why it is called as Internet of Things.
Okay, sir, excellent. And what is a port number and how it will be used?
Yeah. So basically, port number is you can say starting or end point of any application. Okay, any services which is available, we are making it available. Okay, port number is basically assigned to that particular service. Okay, and that port number value will be uh, like 4-digit number. Okay, and that number is identifies the particular service which is available. Okay, that is a starting and ending point of any service.
Okay, sir. That's all now as of now. And we thank you, sir, for your wonderful session as well as answering all the queries patiently. And with your kind permission, we'll move on to the next session, sir. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, sir, for joining with us in spite of your busy schedule and all the things. And sir, mom, if you have any questions, kindly keep it in the chat area during the session. So we'll try to address all the questions by end of each session, right? So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining
yeah.
with us
Thank
and
you.
enlightening us on this internet fundamentals and information security. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and all the best, participants, for your further journey of happy learning in the domain of cybersecurity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And once again, good morning to all of you. And we will be move on to the next session without any further delay. So, as I told you, I hope you all understood like what is the internet and how it works, and what is information security. Right? Internet is different, and information security is different, and information security has so many aspects which Sir has discussed. So those aspects you have learned in the first session. So we have started with the basic and we'll slightly moving to the right now. We are going to start the next session and what is data and how do you secure the data. And browser security, madam is going to discuss, and madam is also going to discuss on what are the mobile, how do we secure your mobile kind of thing, right? So with this, we welcome Kajal Kashyap ma'am, and she is working as a project engineer at SIDAC Noida, and she has a vast experience in the domain of information security, and she do perform her daily activities in the information security domain, and she is also actively involved in training the various government officials in cybersecurity on various aspects, and she also actively involved in creating this cyber safety and security among the various users like children, students, government officials, especially the legal enforcement agencies like lawyers and police people, and other stakeholders also, right? So with this background, I welcome Kajal Kashyap ma'am to take this session on this data protection as well as online security or browser security, security aspects. So thank you ma'am for joining with us, and kindly start your session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So, once again, very good morning to all the respected participants present here. So, today we are going to talk on the topic of importance of data protection and online security in our day-to-day life. So, we all are using internet in our daily life. So, it is really much essential for all of us that whatever we are surfing on the internet, we need to make sure that whatever the data present on the internet is actually secure, and we are surfing it in a very secure way, and we will also learn that how we can protect ourselves, our family and friends from the attacks that are going on nowadays. So with this, let's start with a very basic term, that is yeah, these are the figures you can see here. This basically tells the internet in India by 2022. So basically, this is telling us that how much of people in India, especially, are actually using the internet, and how many people are actually, using the internet in which ways. So here you can clearly see that 840 million internet users are here overall in India, and 70% of people are basically doing their e-commerce transaction through their mobile phones, because mobile phones are very easy to carry and they are very convenient. You can do anything in your mobile phone over anywhere, any place. So mostly people are preferring, doing e-commerce transactions through their mobile phones. And then in the third point, you can see that 50% of travel transactions are done via online. Because nowadays we all are having mobile phones, we all are having laptops, desktops. So we mostly prefer to, book our travel transactions or whatever, book our travel things through online mode. And then we have 175 million online shoppers, as mostly people are preferring doing online shopping. And then 2.2 billion mobile connections overall are here, and 448 million social media users are here, which is overall a very huge data in terms of using the internet. Let's move on to the next one. So, if we are talking about the internet, we should also talk about that how much of data frauds were actually happened in previous months or previous years. So you can see these are the famous, we can say, companies or organizations which actually had some data breached. So if I talk about one by one, you can see here that data breach was happened with Domino's India in April 2021, where data related to 18 crore orders placed with Domino's India were breached. And in this kind of data breach, the customer name, their email addresses, mobile numbers, number of orders, which the amount they have spent, and their GPS location were actually breached. So these were all the data that were taken by the attackers. And then the breach happened with Upstocks in April 2021, where KYC data of 25 lakh Upstock customer were breached, and it includes their name, their mobile number, their email addresses, their PAN numbers, their Aadhaar bank account number details. And then the data breach also happened with MobiQuick, which happened in March 2021. So here you can see that data of 10 crore Indian MobiQuick users were breached, which basically includes their KYC details, their passport details, email ID, phone number, and Aadhaar card details. And then the most famous one, which we all are using, that is Facebook. So yes, data breach was also happened with Facebook on April 2021, where data of 60 lakh Indian Facebook user were breached. So it includes your phone number, your Facebook ID, your location where you are actually sitting, and where you had actually visited in the past, and your birth date, your email, your relationship status. And then the data breach was happened with Air India in February 2021. So as per Air India, data of 45 lakh customers were globally leaked, which include their, mobile number, date of birth, contact information. It can be anything, information related to their contacts, like their phone number, their email addresses, details related to passports, details related to tickets and credit card data. If they have, saved their credit card details in the payment mode, then definitely their information was leaked. And then breach happened with Big Basket in November 2020. So data of 2 crore plus Indian Big Basket users were breached, which had included their uh, email addresses, names, birth dates, phone numbers, IP addresses also, and the password, which was actually in hashes form. So these were the, we can say, recent attacks that was happened with big famous companies. Let's move on to the next part. So here, let's start with our session, and let's start with a very basic term, that what actually is cyber crime. So before starting anything, we should know that what actually is cyber crime and how actually cyber crime is happening. So cybercrime is a criminal activity that will basically target your device in the sense, if you are having mobile phone, if you are having laptop, desktop, or any electronic device which is having access to network. So the main motive of attacker is to attack or is to take access of your device, and is to, once they take access of your device, they will definitely try to uh, steal all of the data that is present in your devices. So here the main motive of cyber criminals is to once attack on your device and then steal all of your data which is present in your device. So here you can see in this particular slide that a major attack vector of cybercrime is to exploit broken software. Now here I would like to concentrate you all on this particular word uh, that you can see here is broken software. Now what do you mean by broken software? Simply, broken software are those software which basically we do not update on regular basis. In short, if I say the one which basically are neglected, and we basically use those software, but we do not update those softwares on regular basis due to any reason. We just don't update those software. So whatever the unupdated softwares are there, in some particular period of time, they become broke, they become easy to basically hack. So, what cyber criminals are doing, the main work of cyber criminals is to search for these kind of, broken software, which people do not update on regular basis. And once they basically get these kind of broken software, they just use different tools which is present in the internet, and they just use those hacking tools in order to get enter into that software. And once they enter into that software, through that software they can easily enter in your device. So this is the main work of cyber criminals. So if we are talking about cyber crime, then there are three terms which basically are related to cyber crime. That is vulnerability, threat, and risk. So let's talk about one by one what are the role of these three terms. So if I talk about vulnerability, then vulnerability are the weaknesses, or we can say a flaw in a system design or in a software or in a hardware. So if there is any flaw, uh, any problem in your software, in your hardware, then we call it as a vulnerability. So all in all, broken softwares are vulnerable softwares because they are broken and vulnerable. So it is very easy to hack those softwares. And if I talk about threat, so a cyber threat is a malicious act that seeks to steal, or we can say damage your data, or you can say damage your network or system. So, if I talk about the types of threats, then we have three type of threat. First one is intentional threats, second is unintentional threats, and third one is natural threats. So let's talk about one by one. So intentional threats means if someone is sending you some kind of phishing mails, some malware, and any kind of virus. So this means that someone is intentionally sending you some virus thing, so that once you click on that link, virus or malware will be automatically installed in your system, and all in all they can enter in your system and take your data. So this is intentional threats. Unintentional threats are those which are actually human errors. So due to our errors, our negligence, these error comes, like if we are not using good antivirus, if we are not using paid antivirus, if you are using free of cost antivirus from the internet, then you are wrong here. So through these points, unintentional threats will come, and you will not be able to know that okay, something fishy is running in my system. And then natural threats. So natural threats comes when some kind of natural disasters comes. Okay. And then we have risk. So cyber risk is a potential consequence of the loss of, or we can say damage of assets. So how much of damage of assets has done due to a threat, This means risk. So risk and threats are interrelated to each other. If there is a threat, automatically risk will also be there. So these are all the points which is actually related to these cybercrime. Let's move on to the next part. So here you can see the threats used in common applications that we are using nowadays. So all in all, we all are using most of the online applications, and we mostly dependent on the online applications or the application that is present in our mobile phones. Most of our work is dependent on those applications. For example, here you can see few applications like online taxi application, education applications, banking applications. If you want to do any sort of shopping, you basically download shopping applications. If you want to look out for jobs, you hunt for different job portals. And if you want to do any sort of chatting with your friends and families, you definitely download WhatsApp and other, chatting applications. And then if you want to go somewhere for a holiday, definitely you look out for travel and hotel booking applications. And then if you want to play some sort of gaming, you look out for gaming applications. So we are not saying that please stop downloading these applications, but we are just warning you that whenever you are using these applications, you should be more precautious while downloading these applications, because there are so many threats that are lying in these applications. For example, whenever we are downloading or whenever we are using online taxi applications like Uber, Ola, or any XYZ applications, what we have to provide there, we have to make profile of ours, like our name, our date of birth, our um, phone number, our email address. And if we want to, sometimes we also save their credit card, debit card information in there, so that the next time we travel in these taxi applications, we don't want to you know um, pay through cash, so the payment will be automatically debited, right? So what will happen if one day these applications got hacked by anyhow? Your information will be leaked, definitely. So next, if you are using any sort of education application, in there also we have to provide our personal information. And if the application is paid, then you have to provide your same payment mode, like any payment mode, like credit card, debit card information, or UPI. So it can hack anytime. Any application can hack anytime. And if you are using banking application in a similar way, and shopping applications and job portals and other applications also. So in every applications, we have to provide our personal details, right? Uh, Plus payment mode also. So these application can be hacked anytime, right? So what we have to do, what we can do from our side so that we can be protect from these kind of threats. First of all, uh, no, do not download lot of applications in your mobile phone. Just download applications which you use in your, we can say, daily life, like which you require in your daily life and you are accessing it on daily basis. Second thing, what you have to do is you need to update your applications on regular basis. Whenever a new update will come, please update your applications, because if you will not update those applications, hacker will make you a victim of cyber attack. Definitely, because there are a lot of tools present on the internet which will definitely help the attacker in order to you know search for the broken software or these kind of peoples which are actually using uh, which are actually not using updated applications. So this is actually recommended that whenever you are using applications, please update it on regular basis. Third thing, what we can do is, if you are a Android user, straightly go to your Play Store and download all the applications from there itself. And before downloading any sort of applications, you need to check the ratings and review of those applications. If the reviews and the ratings are fine, definitely you can go ahead. But please do not download any sort of applications from any link that you receive on WhatsApp, Facebook, or any social media platform, because that can be a malware application. And once you download through that link, a malware will automatically come with that applications, which you will not be notified, or which will not be basically get notified that okay, some malware is running in my mobile, but it will automatically comes with that application. Or sometimes also happen that instead of that application, other application will download in your phone, and automatically there is one malware added with that application. So what you can do, just straightly go to the Play Store and check the reviews and the rating of that application before downloading any sort of application. And never ever download any application from any third party website or any link. If you are an iOS user, you can do the same thing. Straightly go to the App Store and download all the applications from there. And please ignore downloading applications from the link or any sort of third party websites. So these are the few things that we can definitely do in our daily life in order to protect our information, and in order to protect from the threats that can, happen with us. So let's move on to the next one, this one. So we have talked about the risk and the threats. Now let's talk about what actually is cybersecurity and what is the role of cybersecurity in, we can say, in terms of using internet, and how we can basically use the cybersecurity in order to protect our data. So basically, cybersecurity can be described as the collective methods, technologies, and processes to help protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer systems, networks, and data against any kind of cyber attacks or any kind of unauthorized access. So here the main purpose of cybersecurity is to protect all organizational data assets from both external as well as internal threats. So all in all, the main role of cybersecurity is to protect all of your assets, all of your data from any sort of attack, any sort of unauthorized access, or any sort of damage. Here you can see that as the internet users are increasing day by day, security threats are also increasing day by day. So it is very much essential now for all of us that whenever we are using internet, we need to use it in a very, very secure way. And whenever we are using internet, we should have some steps. We should remember that, okay, whenever I'm accessing internet, I should be very, very, like, what we can say, I should be very, very alert that any attack or any threat can happen with me anytime. So you need to make sure that whenever you are using internet, you are using in a very, very secure way. So here in terms of cybersecurity, a major part of cybersecurity is to fix broken software. Now in the previous slide, we had studied that a major part of cyber crime is to uh, exploit broken softwares, right? Now here the work of cybersecurity professionals are basically search for these kind of broken software and they fix those broken software. So the work of cybersecurity professional is to search for these kind of vulnerable softwares, and once they get those vulnerable software through using tools, they basically update those software and they basically fix those software by doing coding and so on, so that cyber criminals will not be able to exploit or hack those softwares. So these are the work of cybersecurity professionals. Next one, here you can see, if we are talking in terms of cybersecurity, then these are the few components that you can see here that works under cybersecurity. So online privacy is a very, very big component under cybersecurity. Security padlock, surveillance cameras, secure payment, antivirus firewalls, mobile security, global secure shield, and computer security. Now, if we are talking about cybersecurity, it is very much essential for all of us to talk about the goals of cybersecurity, that what actually are the goals of cybersecurity. So talking about goals, then cybersecurity works in 3 points, or we can say in 3 phases. First one is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in first phase, that is the confidentiality. So confidentiality means that only those or authorized person can have access to a particular information. Let me give you a very simple example. If you are working in a particular organization, then in your project or in your team, only because if you are working in that organization, you only have the access to see that information or access that information. But if any third person come from outside, he will not be able to have access to that information. So this is confidentiality, that only authorized person have the access to view or do anything with that information, but unauthorized person will not be able to see any information related to that particular team. And next is integrity. So integrity means, let's suppose I am a sender and the other person is a receiver. So I am sending receiver a message. Let's give example, hi. So receiver shall also receive the same message. If he is receiving the same message, that means integrity of message is remains same. If he is basically receiving other message, that means instead of hi he is receiving bye, so that means the integrity of the message is definitely broke and the meaning has changed and everything is changed. So that means here the integrity is lost and cybersecurity is also lost in this particular term. Next is availability. So availability means if you are an authorized person and if you need any resources XYZ at any particular period of time. So at that period of time, the resources shall be readily available to you. It can be anything. So this is the availability. So if something, we can say if the information is following the hierarchy, that means cybersecurity is fulfilled. Otherwise, it is not fulfilled. Simple. Okay, this is a very, very interesting chart that you can see here, that what actually is happening with us in just under 60 seconds. So this is in terms of social media. So what actually is happening under social media in just under 1 minute. So there are few applications we have added here, which is telling us that how much of people are actually using these social media applications and spending their so many precious times on these social media applications. So if I talk about the very, very famous application that we have is Facebook. So you can see here clearly that 1.4 million people are scrolling in just under 60 seconds on Facebook. This is a very, very huge data because in 60 seconds, 1.4 million scrollings are here. And then if I talk about the other application that mostly people all are using, that is WhatsApp, then 69 million messages are sent in 60 seconds. And same for the Facebook Messenger, 69 million messages are sent in 60 seconds. And then we have a application of Snapchat, where you can basically people are sending their pics or any pics to each other, pictures. So here we have 3.4 million snaps are created in 60 seconds. And then if I talk about the Netflix, then 28,000 subscribers are watching in 60 seconds, in just under 1 minute. And YouTube, 500 hours of content are uploaded in each 60 seconds. And the text message is 21.1 million texts are sent um, over your mobile devices. So all in all, this is a very, very huge data. And you all can imagine that this much of data is actually traveling in just 60 seconds. And what about the other time, like 24 hours, 48 hours, and so on. So this is how people are so much engaging here on social media. Now, this is also a very interesting topic, that how does Google track you? So everyone asks us that how Google knows everything about them. So basically the answer is here, that we are actually responsible for providing our information to the Google. Let's see how. So we all are using these components like Google Chrome, YouTube, Maps, Hangouts applications, then Photos applications, Calendar, Google Search Query browser, then Gmail. Everybody is on Gmail, and then shopping applications, and sometimes we click ads, sometimes we are also reading news through news portals. So actually these are the components that whenever we are using these components, they straightly provide our information to the Google, and that is why Google knows everything about us. So first of all, if we are using Google Chrome, then whatever the browser history is there and the website we visited there, it is already stored in the history and the cache. So we never delete our history, we never clear our cache memory, right? So through this, Google Chrome shared this information to the Google. And then YouTube, whatever videos we watched on YouTube, if you have a channel on YouTube, then whatever the videos you upload, this also straightly goes to the Google. And if you are visiting somewhere using Google Maps, if you are there, so whatever the locations you have visited, whatever the places you have searched for, this also goes straightly to the Google. And then there is one application which is mostly present in Android applications, Android mobile phones, that is Hangout. So once you open this application, it will ask you to make default of your contacts and the conversation. That means the next time you open your calls or contacts, it will open in Hangout, or the next time you open your message, it will automatically open in Hangout. So this will actually copy. If you click yes, then it will actually copy all of your contacts and conversation, and definitely it will straightly goes give it to the Google. And then Photos applications, if you basically tag people and the places in this particular application, definitely all the information goes to the Google. And if you use calendar applications, and if you mark your upcoming plans and appointment, this also straightly goes to the Google. And there is one browser which is of Google search browser. So whatever the queries you search, like whatever, it will goes to the Google. And everyone knows about Gmail, that whatever the contacts, email sent and email received we have, it straightly goes to the Google. And whatever the shopping applications we use, like what product we search on that application, or sometimes we wishlist our product in those shopping applications. So this also, that is why Google shows that particular product which we have wishlisted in different websites. This is the reason that why you basically see that particular product, and you see, okay, Google knows that, okay, I'm liking this product, and next time you actually go to that application and you actually buy that product. But this is actually a tactic of Google, so that you basically think that, okay, now Google also knows that I'm liking this product, and you basically end up buying that product. And if you click any ads, if you click on any news website portals, definitely this also information goes to the Google. So this is all in all, we are actually responsible for providing our information to the Google. Now what we can do, we actually can do that whenever you are done with your internet activity, or whenever you are done with your things, what you can do, you can always clear your history, clear your cache. You can also clear your YouTube history, you can clear your map history if possible, Google map history. Or whenever you are searching any places, just make sure you are doing it in a very just think twice before searching for any places. And do not use applications like Hangout, and do not tag any people and places on Photos applications. And whenever you are done with your day, just delete all of the history and the cache from your browser. Whatever the browser you are using, just delete your history and cache whenever you are done with the work. Now, next we have is digital footprints. So, digital footprint basically this is the very rare topic which people are not having any information related to this digital footprints. So a digital footprint is a trail of data you create while using the internet. So from the day you have started using internet, whatever the information you have access through internet, till now, from the day you have started till now, everything is storing on the internet in a particular file from your name. So this is digital footprint. So everything that you are accessing on the internet, from small to big, everything is storing on the internet. Yes, this is digital footprints. So let me give you an example what actually things are storing, like websites you visit, email you send, information you submit to online forms, and so on. So whatever you are accessing on the internet, everything is storing. So be careful what you are actually sharing on the internet, where you are actually sharing on the internet, and with whom you are sharing on the internet, because we need to think twice before sharing our information to anyone over anywhere, because everything actually is storing on the internet. And one more thing, um, people will ask that will it be possible to delete your digital footprints? Then the answer is no. You will not be able to delete your footprints for permanent. Like you will not be able to delete it. Once the information is goes to the internet, you will not be able to delete that information from the internet. You will be able to delete that information from your mobile phone, laptop, or desktop. But once you have posted any information on the internet, it will remain, or we can say it will always remain on the internet. You will not be able to delete that information. So there we have two types of digital footprints. First one is the passive and the other one is active. So passive digital footprint is a trail of data you unintentionally leave online. For example, you are suppose you are going to open one website. So while opening that website, your IP address is automatically traced, your location is traced, your ISP details were also traced, and your location is also traced. So this is the passive digital footprint, where you have accessed one website, but while accessing that website, your few information were leaked, like your location, your IP address, and your ISP, internet service provider information. Next is active digital footprint. So active digital footprints are the information that you intentionally leave online. For example, let me give you a very simple example. Let's suppose you are new to Facebook. So what we have to do if we are new to Facebook, first we have to create a profile. We have to create a new account. So while creating new account, we have to provide our personal information like name, our email address, and phone number, and so on. And once the profile is final, we have to make our profile, like where we had studied, uh, which like from which college we had graduated, where we are working currently, where we had worked in the past, what is our we can say interest, what are our hobbies, stuff like that. So we are actually giving our information to the Facebook. Facebook is not pushing us to give all of our information, but we are actually happily giving our information to the Facebook. So this is active digital footprint, where we are intentionally giving all the our personal information to the Google. So this is actually the difference between passive and the active. So be smart about what kind of websites you are visiting, what kind of emails you are opening, and what kind of links you are clicking upon, because everything is getting traced on internet. So here the question comes, how to preserve your digital footprint, as we will not be able to delete that footprint. So always think long term before posting anything over internet, and avoid making virtual or online friends, and keep your personal information private, and verify the profile on different platforms. So if you got any friend request from any person, so before accepting that friend request, just go to the different social media platform like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, whatever you are using. Search for that person, and if you got the profile and the information, and if you find that information useful or genuine, definitely you can add that person. Otherwise, please delete that friend request or block that friend request. Use privacy setting on social networking pages. So definitely every social media application has their own privacy setting, definitely. So you can go to whatever the social media application you are using, you can go to the privacy setting of each of them and set the privacy according to you, so that no one will be able to see your personal information on the internet, and only your friends will be able to see that information. Protect your privacy and privacy of your friends, and have a time limit on time spent on social media, and please spend your precious time with your family and friends. Okay, next we have what are the primary threats to device security. So all in all, we have a lot of threats to device security, but major are the threats. These are the threats that can happen with your devices. So first one we have is computer viruses and worms. So let me talk about one by one. So basically computer virus is a malicious software program that is loaded into a user computer without the user knowledge and performs malicious functions. And then if I talk about worm, then worm is a type of malware that will spread copies of itself from computer to computer, and a worm can replicate itself without any human interaction, and it does not need to attach itself to a software program in order to cause any sort of damage. So worm will basically spread its copies without any human interaction. On the other hand, for spreading virus, we need human interaction. Next one we have is Trojans. So Trojan horse or Trojan is a type of malicious code, or we can say software, that will look legitimate. But once you download these kind of applications or software, it will automatically take all of your control of your device or laptop or anything, whatever the device you are using. So it will take all of your control, and it will see all of the information that is present in your device. Next is spyware. So we can say spyware can be used to steal your personal information, such as your account password, your credit card number. So it will basically track your online activity, and it will display a lot of advertisements. So this is actually a symbol. If you are seeing a lot of advertisements in your device, then a spyware is definitely there in your device. Next we have is malvertising. So this is a very famous term nowadays, malvertising. So basically malvertising is a term which has made from malware. So malvertising is an attack in which hackers will inject code into a legitimate online advertisement, and once a user will visit that advertisement, he will or she will click that advertisement, and when they click that advertisement, automatically malware will download in their device, and user will not be able to guess or uh, get any hint that any malware has entered into their device. So this is actually malvertising. This has made from malware plus advertisement. So once you click any sort of application, if it has injected some kind of malware, definitely you will also be a victim of malvertising. So let's talk about some cyber frauds. So cyber frauds are actually increasing day by day, but these are the few frauds that are increasing a lot day by day. Like phishing attacks are increasing day by day, tampering attacks, identity theft, uh, attacks related to donations, mass scams. Sometimes we also receive one email that please okay, I will answer the chats once the session is over, sir. Yeah. So, so email we receive like related to donations and mass scams that please donate some to COVID-19 victim viruses, kind of things. And then ransomware attack and then keylogger attack. So let's talk about one by one about these attacks. So let's start with the identity theft one. So identity theft is the crime of obtaining the personal, or we can say financial information of another person to use their identity to basically commit fraud, such as making unauthorized transactions or any sort of purchases. So here you can see the intent is to use the identity of that person for personal gain, generally with the intent to defraud others. So documents can be anything: your driving license, your credit card details, your phone number, or sorry, your mobile phone, or any personal documents, PII, personal identifiable documents. So if they got these documents, so attacker can basically do anything with your documents. So information often targeted by identity thieves includes your passwords. Basically, the aim of identity theft is to gain your password, is to steal your password, is to steal your bank account information, is to steal your credit card number, is to steal your information stored on a user computer, mobile phone, such as contacts, videos, images, sensitive documents. So what are the preventions? First one is always safeguard your personal information as much as you can. Second is protect your passwords. Never ever share your passwords with anyone, even with your family members and friends. Be credit debit card smart. Always check your monthly credit card, debit card report of your bank, whatever the bank you are using. Just make sure that you are regularly checking it, and destroy shred receipts which actually are not required, and do not throw that receipts like as it is on the floor, on the dustbins, because it has some information. And some people are actually using ATMs, and once they are done with the withdraw thing, they just throw that transaction slip on the floor itself in the ATM, which actually is not a good habit, because ATM is accessible to anyone. Anyone can come over there and can, take your receipt and take the information which is actually printed in that receipt. Okay, so always make sure that whenever you are done with the transactions, you basically you are actually destroying and shredding the slip in small small pieces and then throwing it in the dustbin and not on the floor. So this you can do, and review your records regularly, and be cautious with phishing links. So anyone can send you phishing links. So do not basically click on any of the links that you receive on your email, social media accounts, and monitor your online accounts. So if you are active on social media, definitely it's good, but you need to make sure that you have some privacy settings on your social media account, and you are monitoring your social media accounts on regular basis. If you are not active on your social media accounts, and you have just made it for like few reasons, then definitely delete your social media accounts, because now you are not active on that social media accounts. Some people are actually creating their father and mother accounts on social media just to be cool, and they are actually the father and the mother of the person is actually not able to use the accounts, or the able to use the social media accounts, but still they are there. So please make sure that do not do these kind of things. If they are able to access these social media accounts, definitely then make their online accounts. Otherwise, if they are not comfortable in accessing social media accounts, definitely do not make their account just to be cool. And be careful with public wi-fi. Do not do any sort of transactions, any sort of important or any sort of transactions with using wi-fi. Whenever you are wi-fi, whenever you are connected on wi-fi, just try to do not do any sort do not access any sort of important information. And if it is not important, then please do not connect to any sort of public wi-fi, because we never know who is the person sitting behind that wi-fi and what is the motive of that wi-fi. So what to do if you are a victim of identity theft? You need to change your passwords as soon as possible, and you need to report it to police immediately, or you need to contact your bank account that okay, this kind of identity theft has occurred with me, and please seize my bank account. So you can do these things. Next one is keylogger. So what is actually keylogger? Let's see. So keylogger is a software or a hardware capable of recording input from a computer keyboard and intercepting keystrokes without the user knowledge. So all in all, what is actually happening? There are two types of keylogger. First one is software keylogger, other one is hardware keylogger. So in software keylogger, what happens is, let's suppose you are using one laptop or desktop. Okay, there is one software of keylogger. So and you will not be able to detect it. Okay, so whatever you do, basically it will record all of your keystrokes of your keyboard. So whatever you type on your system, it will record all of the things. For example, you just straightly go to the browser and you had opened your banking website, and you try to log in your bank, like giving your user ID and the password. It will also basically take that. It will also monitor that. So it will copy that password and the user ID and save it in a particular file, and you will not be able to basically detect that. This is software keylogger. And the second one is hardware one. So here you can, in the right side, you can see the image, the black device, the black small device, which is just front of the purple one. So what happens is, this kind of device you usually found it in a cyber cafe. So whenever we are using cyber cafe, make sure you are actually checking behind this CPU, that's, is there any kind of device injected with the CPU? If no, then you are safe. If yes, please do not use that system, because whatever you do, whatever you type in your system, it will automatically capture that. Okay, so this is actually the concept of keylogger. Next is a phishing. We all are aware of phishing attacks. So phishing is a cyber crime in which a target or targets are contacted by email, telephone, or text messages by someone posing as a legitimate institute or a legitimate person to fool individual into providing their sensitive data, such as any information, their passwords, their username, their credit card details, their social media details, their debit card details. So it can be anything. The main motive of phishing attack is to gather your sensitive information. So we have added few examples of phishing websites like www.gmai1.com and ICICI. Instead of bank, instead of B, we have used 6. Instead of Bank of India, instead of O, we have used 0. And in Yahoo, instead of double O, we have used 00. So what is the motive behind this? Nowadays, hackers are basically creating same replica of famous websites. Gmail is a very famous portal or website. So what the hackers are doing, they have created same replica of Gmail as it is. You will not be able to differentiate that this is a fake website or this is a genuine website. But what they are actually doing, they are using this URL, that is gmail1.com. This is actually looking similar like gmail.com. We are basically looking at this in this way, that is why we are able to recognize it. But if you will look this in URL, you will not be able to recognize that this is a fake website or this is a fake URL, because we never look at the URL like in a careful way. We just open URL and we just start doing our work. We never ever check the spelling of the URL. So that is why attackers are actually creating fake replica of website with these kind of URLs, because people never basically bother about the URLs. So here the question comes that how to identify fake phishing websites. So in this particular session, we are going to learn that how we can identify fake phishing websites for our day-to-day life, for our regular work, and how we can protect ourselves from this kind of phishing attack. So without using any sort of tools, how manually we can do, let's see. Let me just open my browser. Yeah. So I hope my browser is clearly visible to all the participants. So here we have opened one CDAC website. So let's suppose I have to check whether this particular website, any website you can say that, is a fake or a genuine website. So let's suppose you basically need to scroll any website, and before doing any sort of logging and creating your account, firstly check whether the website is a fake or a genuine. So what are the parameters? First one is, first one you will look at it that whether the website is HTTPS secure or not. So firstly you will see it has HTTPS or not. Second thing you will see, or we can say you will check the spelling of the URL, that is cdac.in. So in my case, the spelling is correct and it is not looking any fishy. So it is C is C, D is D, and A and C are also same. There is no changes. Okay. And then the third thing what you will notice is this small lock. We call it as a padlock. Okay. So if the website has this padlock, definitely website is secure. So if it has padlock, you will click this and you will see here some information like about cdac.in, connection is secure. Okay, you can see here, and once you click here, you will see this site has valid certificate issued to Center for Development of Advanced Computing and issued by a trusted authority. Now if you want to see more information, like if you want to see the certificate of this particular authority, definitely you can check through this particular icon. This is showing us the certificate and we call it as a digital certificate. So this is actually the digital certificate which we actually provided once the website is secured. Okay, so this is the information, that certificate information you can see here. This certificate is intended for the following purpose. Okay, and issued by, valid from, you can see here. Definitely you can see details here, or if you want to see more, if you want to dig into more information, you can click here issuer statement and you will see a lot of information related to the particular information. So these are the few parameters that you can dig into, and definitely on a for doing regular work, if you want to check whether the website is a definitely fake website or a genuine website, you can basically use these few small steps in order to basically check. Now coming back to the next fraud that hackers are doing is tab nabbing. So what actually is tab nabbing? So tab nabbing is a new online phishing scam to attack your computer and your finances. So all in all, if you are habitual to work while opening a lot of tabs at one, then stop, because you can be a victim of tab nabbing attack. Let's see how. Let me give you a very good example by taking you a few images. So here you can see there is one user which is actually doing work while opening a lot of tabs. So here, let me just read it for you because this is not clearly visible. So first tab he has open is eBay website, which is of electronics and car section. Second tab he has open is Flipkart website. Third tab is something the Hindu website. Fourth is TechCrush website. Fifth is Information Security and Education Awareness Portal website. And then State Bank of India, some banking website, and then some Indian Development Portal. Okay, so at one time he has opened a lot of tabs. Okay, so now I would like to request to all the participants that please concentrate only on the first tab, that is of eBay website, which is showing the electronics and the cars page. Okay, so now the user is actually accessing other tabs. Basically, he is busy in accessing other tabs and he has not accessed the first tab, which was of eBay, for like few minutes, or we can say few hours. He was not active on this particular tab. Okay. Now what will happen is he is busy in accessing all the other tabs. So after few minutes, you will see, or after few hours, when the user is not active on the first tab, what is actually happening here? It is actually connecting to some other page. Okay, you can see here it is connecting. So actually, when the user get back to this tab again, he sees that okay, some Gmail page is open, and he basically not remembered that what page he has opened. So there is one Gmail page opened, and he thought, okay, let's just sign in with my username and the password in the Gmail account, and can see and basically check what kind of what emails I have received. Okay, so once he just sign in with his username and the password and click on the sign in button, it will automatically goes to the hacker, which is actually a phishing page. This is not a genuine Gmail page. If you look at it, the URL, it is gmai1.com. It is not gmail.com. And the user has not checked the spelling of the URL, and definitely now his username and the password has straightly gone to the hacker. So this is how tab nabbing attacks are being performed. So it is very much recommended to everyone that first of all, do not open a lot of tabs while doing any sort of work. Just open one or two tabs and do your stuff. And before starting any work, refresh the browser and check the URL transactions on tab browsers, like which you have opened for from few minutes or few hours, and always use private windows for financial transactions. So every window or every browser has their private window. You can go there and you can do your transactions, whatever you want to do. Next cyber attack is ransomware. So what actually is ransomware? Let's see. So ransomware is a type of malware that prevents or limits user from accessing their system either by locking the system screen or by locking the user file until and unless you will not pay some money, or we can say some ransom to the hacker or attacker. So there are two types of ransomware. First one is a crypto, second one is a locker. So crypto ransomware prevents access to personal files and data. And when you give the amount or money or ransom to the hacker, then you will be able to open your file, important file or important data. So this is crypto ransomware. And in case of locker ransomware, your whole system will be locked, and attacker will ask you ransom, and when you give him ransom, then he will provide you key and open your system or device. So this is the difference between both of these ransomwares. Now coming to the password security, let's talk about this because this is very important thing. Nowadays we are using a lot of online accounts, so it is very much essential to secure it with a great password. Okay, so, firstly, before heading towards the techniques that how we can make sure that our password is strong and secure, firstly, let's see that what are the various attacks that hackers are doing it through the password attacks. Okay, so various techniques used by hackers and crackers to retrieve your passwords are: first one we have is shoulder surfing. So what actually is shoulder surfing? Let's suppose you are sitting on your office desktop and you are actually trying to log in some specific website. Okay. So while logging, you are not basically taking care of like who is actually standing behind me, who is actually sitting behind me, like things. Okay. So you are actually busy in logging in your website and you are typing your username and the password, and some person is standing behind you and looking at your screen, and he or she is actually can see your user ID and the password of that particular website very easily. So this is shoulder surfing. This can also be done in various public places like lifts, in public parks, and anywhere in any public places shoulder surfing can be done. Sometimes we are actually busy in accessing our mobile phones in the lift also. Like we forget that lift has cameras. So they can basically sometimes they can see our screen, our mobile phones, and they can record everything there. So while visiting any of the public places or the lifts, or stop using your devices or stop accessing your personal information, or if you are accessing your information, if there is any emergency, then please take care that whether anyone is actually standing behind you or looking at your screen or not. Okay, so this is shoulder surfing. Next is some people are writing their passwords on a piece of paper and they just stick it on the table or any on their office desktop or anywhere, so that it will be easy to remember, so that their passwords will be easy to remember. So this is a very bad habit, because anyone can visit at your desktop or office table and they can easily see your password, whatever you have written in that. Okay, so stop doing this. And next one we have is brute force attack. So brute force attack basically happens whenever you are using weak passwords, and username. Like in simple one case, if I'm using passwords like my like abcd12345, so this is a very common password, and mostly people are using these kind of passwords because they just want that they will not forget their password, and these are the passwords that will be very easy to broke. So hackers will basically guess your passwords by typing these kind of things like abcd12345, and if you have used these kind of passwords, definitely your account will be um, basically lost and your details will be gone to the hacker. And then dictionary attack. So here comes, if you think that you will use one strong word from dictionary and you will create one strong password and your password will never be able to hack, definitely you are wrong here, because we have a lot of tools there on the internet which will scan the whole dictionary word in just few seconds. So if you are using these kind of dictionary passwords, definitely you are the one whose password will be hacked first. Okay, so never ever use dictionary words in place of your passwords. And these are the few things that we can remember, that do not write your passwords anywhere. Do not give your passwords over phone call, over text, over email, any sort of things. Okay, so now the technique comes that let's straightly switch to the practice one, that how to make sure that your password is actually strong and is will not be able to hack easily. So you need to basically switch to passphrase technique. Now what actually is passphrase technique? Passphrase is a technique where you can take your favorite sentence. It can be anything. Here in my case, my favorite sentence is never judge a book by its cover. So this is my favorite sentence, and I will remember this particular sentence all the time. So now I will create a particular strong password from this particular sentence. So I will take small n from never, I will take small j from judge, I will take @ symbol from a because it looks similar to a and it will be easy to remember that instead of a I have used @ symbol, and instead of b I have used 6 because this is actually also same looking similar way. And instead of b again from by I have taken 6, and from its, that is from I have taken exclamatory mark, that is opposite of I. It is also easy to remember. And from cover I have taken capital C. Now my strong password with like alphabets and special characters is actually ready and is actually strong. Here I'm not using my name, my mobile number, I'm not using any weak password like abcd12345 or any family member name or any friend's name, nor I'm using my date of birth as my password. So attacker will not be able to guess that you are using this kind of password, and all their techniques will be failed. And there is not any tool that had made yet which will actually crack a password through this particular technique. So what you can do, you can use this passphrase, you can switch to this passphrase and you can use this technique and definitely make your password strong enough. And yeah, and please change your passwords in every 1 to 2 months so that your password will be strong. Now coming to the preventions, refresh the browser after returning back from other tabs, and avoid phishing emails and questionable websites, and use private windows if you want to do important stuff, And always use updated antivirus software. Never ever use open, or we can say free of cost antivirus software, because nothing is freely available on the internet. Everything has a cost. So if you are downloading free software, this also has cost. Maybe they will send you some attach malware or virus with that free software or any software. So never ever download free softwares. Just download authenticated website from the authenticated softwares, and download authenticated paid antivirus softwares only. Increase your browser security settings. So whatever the browsers you are using, you can go to the security settings or settings page, and you can set the concept or set the settings or the requirements according to your uses. Next is avoid financial transactions on tab browsers, and do not fall for advertisements that tempt you into downloading free softwares. As they discussed, nothing is freely available on the internet. And always clear your cookies, caches, history on daily basis, and disable auto connect when joining networks, and never use passwords for Wi-Fi, and change the name of your default Wi-Fi network. Like some people are still using their Wi-Fi network name as a admin and admin. So this should be changed. And disable your wireless home network while you are not at home. Do use two-factor authentication on everything possible. So what actually is two-factor authentication? Let's suppose you are actually logging in your Facebook applications. So first you need to provide your username and the password, and then one code. So what will happen here, when you basically on the two-factor authentication, it will send you a code on your mobile number. So when you put that code in that app, then only you will be able to log in the application, otherwise not. So this is a very good technique through which you will be able to get, like, if someone gets your password, user ID and the passwords, then also they have to provide that code, and that code will come into your phone. And if someday the code will come and you are actually not trying to log in, then you will be able to get that, okay, someone has tried to log in my application. Then at that particular period of time, you will change your password at that time. And do not install apps from third party, and record your IMEI number of your mobile phone, because if your mobile is stolen by anyhow, so for for complaining or for registering any sort of complaint at police station, you need that 15-digit IMEI number. So it will help you in tracking your mobile phone through service provider. Next is never open email attachments with a file extension such as VBS, SHF, and PIF. And never open web links in your email, and always use email transactions through secured mail website. Check for spelling mistakes. Fake job offer mails generally have spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. Never trust icons in the email attachments. Nowadays viruses are attached with the attachments, and malware are attached with the icons. So sometimes we also receive some PDFs. So those PDFs can also have some virus, also can also some malware also. So do not download these sort of files. Do not just download the files or the things which basically once you get to know that the email is from a known person, then only download the attachments. Never send your photograph through emails to unknown persons. So here we have only made it to the conclusion that the only system which is truly secure is the one which is switched off and unplugged. And whatever the devices we are using, these are not at all secure. And only way to be safe is to pay attention and is to act smart. And the mantra of online safety is to pause and think before you connect to the internet, so that you can secure yourself and secure the nation. So thank you. Stay safe, stay secure. This was it for this session. If you have any questions, definitely you can ask. Thank you, everyone.